Today was practice number 11. I've kind of been telling those guys, right, and counting it down. And I show them, one of the things you get lost in when you're a college football player is you think what you're doing is special, right? Like you think that you're doing something that nobody else is doing. So I've been showing them clips of Wyoming, Indiana, Virginia, our first three opponents, and show them, right, one of the beauties of social media is we can kind of keep an eye on what they're doing. I'm obviously not into the dynamics of everybody else, but I want them to know what we do in this building determines what we do, right? We don't have any unique advantage. The NCAA doesn't let me have any more practices, doesn't let me have any more time. What we do is what we do, and we got to control the moment. So today was, we actually introduced some end-of-game scenarios today. So we did an end-of-game scenario from the minus 35, from the 50, from the 30, from the 20, from the 10, and 2-point plays, right? And just kind of showed them, I showed them end-of-game situation against Miami when I was with the Patriots. That was a team that won the Super Bowl versus a team that I think won just a handful of games, and they beat us on the last play of the game with just a few seconds on the clock. That was a huge deal at the time. So great learning moments all over the place. We did some really critical. We introduced third down. Tomorrow's fourth down Friday, so we're going to do a lot of fourth down stuff tomorrow. So I'm excited. This group comes with a purpose. They just don't come and punch in the clock and practice. I think they engage. I've had some visitors here over the last 2 weeks, and they talk about the way the players respond when we're talking as coaches. Coach Henry gets to give a talk tonight to the team. I'm letting all my coaches give a message, 10 to 15-minute message to our guys. Last night, Coach Snyder and Coach Jamo gave a great message. I think our guys were engaged in. And then we also have freshman talent shows, which have been very intriguing. When you get your first chance to talk to Joey Okla, I think you should ask him about his impersonation opportunities, and you'll be intrigued. So I like this team. I like the demeanor. I think we love to work. We're 11 practices in it, though, so everybody's getting a little pissy with one another, even with me and me with them. So I think it's fun to progress and move towards game day.
Aaron was talking about how maybe it's a good thing on Monday that they got beat over the top a little bit, an opportunity actually for learning that didn't happen as much last year.
Great point. That's a DB coach for you, right? Like, much rather happen it on Monday than Saturdays. So I do think one of the things that I've learned, and I've really tried to drill it into our coaches. Everybody gets frustrated when these moments happen in practice, where in reality, I think it's the greatest thing that could happen. Today we had an errant snap in a critical moment, right? Everybody's moping around. I'm just like relishing it because now I'm going to be able to use that in a team meeting and show how it loses games, not win games. And Aaron's point, very well taken. Aaron's getting to be a veteran coach, and he understands those moments are critical.
Bret, I know you aren't going to rely on freshmen this year, but what have you seen from them 2 weeks into training camp about the future?
You talking like true freshmen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in Aaron's room in particular, Tyson Rooks is very impressive. Xavier, who kind of plays a little bit of corner / safety star, very Quanish, to be quite honest. And what he brings to the table has been, I think, those two guys in particular. But I would tell you, Elijah McCantos is, if you're having a bad day, call Elijah because he brings you out of the back. Those three guys, I think, are all purposeful guys that'll help us. I think Tyson may be one of the earlier ones than Zay, but also on the back end, Matt Bailey has continued to just every day show up, not only on defense but special teams. He's just long, he's intelligent, he's driven, he's smart, he's athletic. He checks the boxes in a lot of different ways. I think, and also on the defense side, really don't have anybody in the interior line, but Gabe Backus has continued to. There's about a half a dozen plays yesterday that I highlighted that he just plays with extension, does a lot of the things very Owen Carney-ish. Obviously, OC's a little bit more polished where he's at, but Gabe is a powerful, dynamic, explosive player. Malachi Hood has made a huge jump from last spring to this spring. And then all those other guys. James Kreutz, there's three really good inside linebackers, but James has been, he had his birthday yesterday. He did a town show last night, which was entertaining. Offensively, Sean Miller continues to, he should, hopefully, today's Thursday, right? I think he's having an MRI today. We should be able to go contact with him Friday, Saturday. We might be able to play him on Monday. But Sean is definitely a guy that shows up. Ashton Hollins, for sure on the perimeter. Aiden Lawfrey, unfortunately, he's doing a little bit of soft tissue, but he is a guy. And then I would say in the tight end room, both guys, Navion Cargill and Henry Boyer. I think Henry would probably have the stronger lean just because of his physicality and his length, but those two guys both are hits for us at the tight end position.
But apologies if I missed it. Is Matt Fries on campus?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, Matt will join us he was he wasn't really done until late July, just kind of where he's at, and conversation with his family and Matt, we're deferring he'll be here when classes start.
Coach, you seen the TV deal for the Big Ten coming? Have you heard about it a little bit?
I mean, it's been discussions. I have not seen the deal, don't know anything about it.
It's going to obviously change the way things are. Go back to when you were younger at home and Pop was done. How'd you watch football on Saturdays? Did you watch everything or not?
I was the remote, right? So my dad yelled Channel 4, Channel 6, or Channel 8, which was ABC, CBS, and NBC. I was the remote. I never ran out of batteries. The only other option he had is my brother Barry was close. And I was happy when my little sister started walking, because then I turned her into the remote. But it's just come so far, right? Like, one of the things, Jen and I hopefully are going to be blessed, and we're going to move into our new house next week. And she literally has not involved me in a lot of conversations, which by design is probably smart on her part. She's done an incredible job of building this house. The one thing she engaged me in is like, how are we going to do this TV thing? Are we doing the TV package? Are we doing the streaming? Like, I just want to push a button, right? I just want to push a button and go to the game. And she, of course, wants to do things in modern ways. Well, that was a very short conversation. I don't even know where it's headed. But I think it's just so unique. Like I said, I really want to get home on a Saturday and be able to watch every game I want to watch. Okay. On Sundays, if I do get a chance to steal an NFL game late night when I get home, I love doing that, right? So I think the thing that's awesome between the commission and the Big Ten office, and I go back when the Big Ten, when I was in those early meetings and before the Big Ten Network was even around, and in the conversations that we had with Jim Delaney, and at the time I didn't realize what a leader he was, right, in the area that he created in the Big Ten Network and what it developed into. I remember him and Joe Pa getting in some knockdown dragouts. I was so happy I wasn't a part of those conversations. But the foreshadow of Jim to create the shorter window and the contract opportunities to lead to this moment, and then I think Commissioner has really done a really good job of fielding all this in, added the two teams, and now I think we're going to get a value that's unprecedented.
You realize you're on TV all the time, like they got cameras on you all the time. Did you think about that during the game ever? Are you aware of that? Or
No, the only time it really came to light, when I was at Kansas State, I was a signal caller, and we had played Oklahoma. We were a really good defense. We beat them. We were in the Big 12 championship game to give Coach Snyder his first Big 12 championship games, and we had a call called under easy cover 4, and I'll just say that the signal that I was using was not probably something appropriate for television, and I hadn't really thought about it, but it was something that the guys came up with. Well, when we were in the latter stages of that game, it turned into a passing game, so I kept signaling the same call over and over, and it was brought to my attention when I got off the field from about 100 people that I was signaling under easy 8-3 in a very suggestive manner. So it did come up, and then I do remember my mom getting on me one time. I did at times use choice language, and it caught me on camera, saying something. So it does. Now, the thing that really opened my eyes when I was in the NFL, because you have NFL films, right? So they can literally get right next to you. You'll see a lot of coordinators cover their mouth because the cameras will get so in depth. But then I remember breaking down a call sheet for a very big game where we zoomed in on the sheet from a play caller, right, and saw how it was written on his script. So the camera is always on you. And for me, when I became a head coach, I weighed 220, and now I'm a little north of that. So I'm very well aware the camera's on me all the time.
Bret, when you put together,
I got one more.
Yeah.
How does this help you with recruiting? You tell them every
Yeah.
game obviously is on TV.
Bob, so one thing we definitely do when they're on a visit, I literally show the Big Ten Network, and I show the footprint of where it hits, and then specifically, the Big Ten Network has a policy that every game that's played on any given Saturday, no matter the network, they replay it during the course of the week. So if I'm a mom living in West Palm Beach, I know I'm going to be able to watch my son during the course of the week on the Big Ten Network, even if it isn't live that day or if it gets beat out by a Trump station. I still tell you, I think, the way that TV is marketed now and driven, these conference networks and the ability to replay it during the course of the week is almost as important. They do specials. They do, we have kids get interviewed. I'm a big promoter. I think the Big Ten Network, when I got back in the conference, literally everybody in the network reached out to me and said, "Hey, Coach, great to have you in." I think because I'm always trying to promote our guys, right? Like before NIL was real, I was always trying to do that in ways to kind of promote our guys at a higher level, and it's just something I really believe in.
Bret, when
your new guys on the staff, Barry, Sean, Mess, like, how much have you gone to them and said, check me,
Yeah.
or double check me, tell me what I'm doing wrong?
Yeah.
Kind of deal. Because they're very familiar with you, and I know.
Yeah, Barry especially. Barry was with me at Arkansas, so I think he just naturally sees things differently than we were last together. I think he was. You can ask him, but I think I lean on him a lot. I told our team today I have a huge man crush on our coordinators. I just think really they really proactively think. They catch slogan. They take things that I say and they build off it. Barry had one today in backed up offense that I thought was awesome. It caught on right away with our players. It was really awesome for me. I continually rely on Ryan, not only in his room, but I'll bounce things off of him from an offensive point of view. And then Sean and I, it's very unique. I've never been able to hire a former somebody I went to school with, right? Like somebody I was in the dorms with, right? Like I went to dinner with him at the dormitory. Right? Yeah, it's just he's seen football, and then I don't think a lot of people think I do have a lot of Coach Alvarez in me. I do have a lot of Hayden in me. I have a lot of Kirk in me. What people didn't know because they just didn't know that tree is how much Coach Snyder I have in me, and Sean, that's his dad, right? So like he'll look at me across the table when I'll say a very Snyder-esque type thing, and so that's very awesome. And then Mess, I did come to him like literally 2-3 days into it. So he's an observer, right? He's an analyst. He sits back and observe, and for him, like he's been able to just give me little nuggets along the way. And quite honestly, I take them, and sometimes I process them. Sometimes it's things they tell me that I know I'm coming to. The more football we can get in this building, the better off all of us are.
You mentioned Tyson, but Aaron said that just there are a number of guys that are competing for that spot opposite Spoon. Just what have you maybe seen from the group when there's maybe the competition level?
Taz, and I know you guys have seen it, he's bigger. He's more strapped up. I don't know if there's a guy in this building that I would say coaches, support staff, from nutritionists to weight room to recruiting people to personnel that are pulling for Taz. Like he's just kind of got that demeanor and personality. People really like him. And where he's grown from a year ago to this year is like just light years, and he's a really good player. I remember early on in our career, my opportunity here in the spring, he was involved in a play where he did something naturally that isn't coached, and most people would never pick up on it, and I showed it to the team, and everybody's like, oh, right, and it was just an angle that he took because he understood football. He's doing some really good things in the kick return game, like he took one the other day that was very impressive. So I would say Taz is the leader right now. I've been very impressed with Terrell Jennings. Rello is a really impressive kid, very intelligent, good football IQ. Then you got the three freshmen that are battling out. Also T. Strain, unfortunately, he was concussed, but he's back into it now. And I was sitting behind him yesterday in a special teams meeting, and he cramped up, jumped up. He is literally, it's air conditioning. Everybody's complaining how cold it is, and he's sweating, and he's going through, and he would not leave the meeting. Like I went and got JB. JB came and brought him. He did not want to leave that meeting because he wanted to learn, right? And when you have that going on in the building like that, that's a guy that's maybe a second, third string guy, and the dedication that he has to try and learn and gain an advantage, I think we got something going in the right direction.
Anything you can share about Sid Brown?
Oh, he's back practicing. Yeah. Sid, well, he actually practiced yesterday, but he also practiced today. And, him and unfortunately Hank Beatty got his bell rung a little bit as well. So those two guys will be cleared. Actually, Sid's already cleared. Hank should be cleared. But I really want to make a decision if I want to practice those guys on Monday. Sid, obviously, he's got 1 year left with us. I think he's at a level. I don't really need to see Sidney Brown hit anybody else, especially if his brother's on the field. I don't need to see that. And then on the flip side of it, Hank, who's relatively early in his career, but I've also learned, right, like what we don't want to do is start him in a precedent, say he gets caught in the wrong situation again, and now he's had 2 back-to-back dingers, and you're basically affecting his career for a while. So we'll make that decision a little bit more Monday.
But Zeke has been around for Ezekiel Holmes has been around for a little bit. What has he shown you to put himself in this position?
Yeah.
And you got some history at that spot. Like, what does he bring to that?
Yeah, I think Zeke, for him himself, like he's, ever since I've been here, like Zeke kind of has his own little beat, right? Like he's done everything right. I love his demeanor. Last year, he ran a simple, we call him a divide player on kickoff coverage. And if there was a better divide player on kickoff coverage last year, I'd like to see it. Like he was a man-child, but he bought into that role, right? And I think he saw OC and IG playing at a high level, and he's like, as soon as I get my chance, I want to be there. So he's really had a good summer. And then I think the combo of him and Seth, Seth had a baby this summer, right? And literally kind of see how it's matured and brought him. Those two guys together have been very impressive. Then you throw in Alec Bryant. I think that group, because there was so much, shall we say, leadership, testosterone, alpha, however you want to say it, with IG and OC, that group is kind of trying to find their identity. And Kevin, one of the greatest things Kevin does is he builds culture, right? And I've been very impressed with Kevin and his ability to take that room and make them have ownership. I'm very excited to see how that room plays.
Brad, you speak,
Last one.
you guys speak so highly of Tip Lyman.
Yeah.
Why is that? What do you see? What is he bringing?
Well, classic Tip, right? Like, did I tell you the recruiting story about being a host? Like,
I think you have.
so we had Tip, he was going to host a tight end, who we knew just tight end had a little personality to him, and we were going to give him a tip. And Tip goes, Coach, I don't know if I'm your guy. He goes, I really just go home, talk to my wife, read the Bible, and watch Netflix. And I said, we all need to be a little more like Tip, right? And it just gave me an indication, like, he's a pretty serious, and whatever, I show him a lot of times on video clips, because, like, whatever you ask Tip to do, you need to tell him exactly what you want, because that's exactly what you're going to get. Like, you got to tell him the first way, the right way, every time. He's gonna do what you ask him to do. So he's just really at the line of scrimmage, has been infectious. He's a good catcher. I think he's continuing to work on that. Like, he had a really nice touchdown play in the red area the other day. Mike Marquez had 2 or 3 touchdowns the other day in the red area. So I really like where that room's headed. And then you throw Henry Boyer in there. I think Mike and Tip are very dynamic players that do a lot of really good things. And overall, I'm excited to see where that room goes.